Hey guys, today's story is about a DM that thinks the rulebooks are really more of just a type of guideline. So while the title may seem innocuous, this is probably one of the worst DMs I've ever dealt with. I was playing a 5th level Red Dragonborn Druid, and we were only a session or so into the campaign, run by a guy from the local LFG group, when we meet our first encounter. I used Wild Shape, and turned into a bear. And on my next turn, I tried to use my breath weapon against a pair of enemies, which is something perfectly doable according to Raw, and we hadn't been told anything different in Session 0. The DM simply told me, "For some reason, your natural abilities don't seem to work in this area. What now?" To which I gave a very bemused look, but instead opted to melee attack the nearest two enemies. Then, the further of the two enemies, a spellcaster, had their turn and cast a firebolt at me, dealing full damage. And once again, I was confused, as I should have resisted it even in Wild Shape. The DM told me, "You wonder to yourself if everyone's abilities have been suppressed, as yours don't seem to work." Needless to say, I was kind of annoyed, but maybe there was some sort of reasoning behind it. Well, a few more turns had progressed, and the White Dragonborn Paladin had used their breath weapon just fine. The half-orc barbarian bisected one of the bandits with their greatsword, and the tiefling rogue took a hit, but burned their attacker with Hellish Rebuke, ending the combat. After about half an hour, the session ended, and I talked to the DM afterwards to ask why I couldn't use any of my racial abilities in that fight, as there didn't seem to be anything in the world or the game rules stopping me. He told me, "You shouldn't try to assert the rules," because as the DM, I know the endgame and what it takes to keep players on somewhat of a path. And adding, "A good DM forces a character to find innovative ways to accomplish things, not just have them kill the catalyst with a breath weapon for fun." I didn't really know how to reply to that, but I figured that I would see the next session for what it held in store. Fast forward to the next session, and I had been sneaking around this bandit camp in Wild Shape as a rat, when I found myself cornered. I didn't really have too many options, but I thought, why not try using my breath weapon and then running? "Your character tries to use his breath weapon and is instantly disintegrated," said the DM. I blinked in disbelief, and then said, "What?" To which he replied, "You seemed like the type of player who needs a character killed to prove what I said before." So I just got up and left the table, and went home after that. And by the time I got back, I had noticed that the DM had kicked me from the group chat that we had set up. But one of the other players, the Dragonborn Paladin, showed me what happened in there after I got kicked. They had asked the DM if there was something wrong with the way I was playing, as they had looked over the rules and had seen what I had said about racial features in Wild Shape. The DM said, "No, but there was something wrong with the player telling the DM the laws of physics or mechanics in their game." Adding to that, "The rules and mechanics are a type of guideline. Trying to manipulate the game based on that is the player trying to run it." Unless I heard, the game had fallen apart when the DM disintegrated the tiefling for trying to use Hellish Rebuke on an enemy NPC they were fighting that the DM wanted to keep alive. Well guys, as a DM, if you're going to take away or punish player for trying to use a racial or class ability that they have, then firstly, tell them. Secondly, if you're going to be that much of a stickler, why even let them play that in the first place? Why not just let everyone be a human? But I digress. Bad DM. But in any case, that's the end of the story. And I hope you liked it. And if you would like to listen to more stories like this, then make sure that you subscribe and stay tuned for future videos. But, as always, have a good one, and Happy New Year!